Hi, guys. How are you today? Um, I am we're getting ready to start a really exciting and fun writing unit where we are going to be writing some fractured fairy tales. Okay. So I'm going to stop you right here. If you have not been on Get Epic to listen or read the original Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf, I want you to stop this video and I want you to go on to Get Epic, and I want for you to read or listen to the Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf, because we're going to be pausing and paying attention to some of the differences between the original and this fractured one. All right. We're going to be starting a really fun writing unit for the end of the school year where you're going to be able to write your very own fractured fairy tale. So I have some different fractured fairy tales here in front of me. I have this one, Sydney Ellen, a wild Western Cinderella, based on the Cinderella. I think I have, nope, I have Curly Locks and the Three Pink Panda Bears, based on Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And I have this very little Red Riding Hood. But today I'm going to read for you this story. I love this story. It's called A True Story of the Three Little Pigs, written by get this, A. Wolf. It's like A is the initial of his first name. So a fractured fairy tale, friends, is this. Something that's fractured is broken. So fractured fairy tales take the original story and they break them up and change them in some way. Sometimes they change the kinds of characters they have. Sometimes they change the setting and location. Sometimes they change the problem a little bit. In this particular one, The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, they are changing the perspective of the story. We've always heard from the traditional Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf. We're hearing it from the pig side of the story. This one is told by a wolf. It's told from the perspective of the wolf side of the story. So let's listen and enjoy this and be thinking about how this is fractured and a little bit different than what we're used to with the Three Little Pigs. And then we're going to do a little bit more teaching and planning of your own very fractured fairy tale. This says everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. The real story is I was framed. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you on a little secret. Nobody really knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm a wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just what we eat. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But, like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. And I love this. Look at this. The pig snout makes the O. All right. Way back in once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask a neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig. So he's coming to the first pig's house. And he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in their right mind would build a house of straw? All right, so far that building material isn't different. In the traditional Three Little Pigs, there's a straw house. There's three pigs and a wolf. Okay, but in the traditional Three Little Pigs, we are told that he comes to eat them. And as far as the wolf is concerned, he was just going to get a cup of sugar. So let's see what happens. So, of course, the minute I knocked on his door, it fell right in. I didn't want to walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze come on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed a great sneeze. Right, so that part isn't really a whole lot different because in the traditional story, the big bad wolf goes to the pig's house and knocks on the door and says, little pig, are you in? And, he huffs and he puffs because he's trying to get in and blow the house down so he can eat the pig. He's claiming, though, he just sneezed and it was a house made of straw. He couldn't help it. And you know what? That whole darn house just fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. There he is, just his bum sticking up there. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Just think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next pig store. This neighbor of the first pig was his brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He built his house out of sticks. Okay, so the building material in this fractured fairy tale hasn't changed. That's not what they fractured or broken or changed, okay? I rang the bell on the stick house and nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. You've heard that in the traditional story, right? Not letting you in, not by the hairs of my chinny chin chin. This time he's saying I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I just grabbed the doorknob when I felt a sneeze coming. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house just fell in too, just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there sat the second little pig, dead as a doornail, Wolf's honor. And I love this. I'm going to put this up a little closer. Can you see? He looks like he's the plate and the forks and the knives and the spoon. Just happens to be sitting there like a perfectly planned dinner, right? Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar and he wouldn't even let me come in and have a cup. And for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake, what a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make her a nice birthday card instead. When I felt my cold coming on, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig called, and your old granny can sit on a pin. So he had gone to the third pig's house, and what did you notice? This pig's house was made of brick. He's pretty smart, right? That part didn't change at all. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks of my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down the pig's door. And the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. And as they say, the rest is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner, and they figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all the huff and puff and blow your house down business that made me the big bad wolf. That's it, the real story. I was framed. but maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. All right. So the only thing that was fractured really and changed is telling the story from the wolf side and not the pig side. We still had the huff and the puff. We still had not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. We still had the three pigs. We still had the big bad wolf. We still had the same building materials. So just changing the perspective of who was telling the story fractured or changed it. Do you have some ideas of the kind of fractured fairy tale you want to write? It's going to be so exciting. I can't wait to see what you come up with.